Hi everyone, today we're going to do a technical analysis on Bravely Default 2 for the Nintendo Switch. Let's kickstart the comparisons. At first, we're going to compare the first city in the game, both in docked and portable mode. The only major difference between the two modes is rendering resolution. Next, we're going to compare the game with the depth blur effect switched off and on. Following is a comparison between docked and portable mode in battles. As you can see, the differentiating factor is again rendering resolution. Moving to the numbers. The game changes its resolution according to GPU load, and the resolution limits are 1080p to around 720p for docked mode and 720p to around 504p for portable mode. The UI in the game runs always at the highest resolution. Turning to the game's frame rate now. The game runs at a fairly stable 30 frames per second when you are traversing the world map in daytime, but once nighttime comes, the frame rate starts to drop, with drops found around 25 FPS in both docked and portable mode. As you will see, those drops are happening due to GPU load optimization. Once we overclock the GPU, the game runs much closer to 30 FPS in both docked and portable mode. The drops are happening because GPU heavy effects like shadows increase the GPU load when in nighttime, and since the game already runs closer to its lowest resolution, when in daytime, the frame rate starts to drop. When we underclock the memory of the Switch, the frame rate drops to 17 frames per second. But still, it's not as severe as when we underclock the GPU. GPU underclocking completely destroys the frame rate, making the game run at around 3 frames per second, confirming that the GPU is the bottleneck in this scenario. Going on to the battles, the frame rate is fairly stable when you sit and admire the scenery, but once any action camera cut happens, the frame rate drops. It won't bother you that much because we're talking about a turn-based role-playing game, and you're not doing anything when the camera changes, but improvements can still be made. As you will see, the GPU is again the bottleneck. When we underclock the CPU, the frame rate barely drops, and CPU usage is not that high, even with the underclocking pointing to the CPU not being the root of our problems. Continuing to memory, when we underclock it, the frame rate drops, but only when actions are performed, pointing to memory contributing to the frame drops too. Turning to the GPU, the frame rate tanks to around 7 frames per second when we underclock it, proving that GPU load is the main factor for the frame drops, with memory bandwidth also contributing to them. Overclocking the GPU helps with the frame rate, but doesn't eliminate the frame drops, pointing to memory bandwidth also being responsible for some of the frame drops when the camera changes position. Thank you so much for staying till the end, and subscribe to our channel for more technical analysis videos on console titles. See ya!